Hello, hockey fans. My name is David. Thought I would start this video on the afternoon of Wednesday, 30th of November, 2022, bit before 1 North American Eastern Time. Thought I would do is try to make this video a little bit about that video, most disappointing teams in the NHL. Well, before I get into that, thought I would do is mention how various Canadian teams end up doing that day. And on Monday, oops, alright. Tuesday. Alright. And games in action. There are relatively few. And on Thursday, loads of games in action. On that day, 3 games, 2 of them featuring Canadian teams. On Friday Eastern Time. Saturday will be a whole bunch. Be a whole bunch of games. These are all available on the Sportsnet website under scores. And there's, well, so I'm just going to move back to there. And, alright, where do I go here? Also thought I would present the NHL standings in terms of Canadian teams in playoff spots. So the Leafs are in a top 3 divisional spot. The Habs, 3 points, out of a wild card spot. Still very much in there. The Sens, 9 points out. The Jets are in a divisional spot, top 3 divisional spot. 7 ahead of the Minnesota Wild for a top 3 Central Division spot. And we look at the others. I do apologize if lighting is not so good, but yeah. So, in terms of last week, Flames on Tuesday snapped a 3-game losing streak via a convincing win over the Florida Panthers, 6-2. The Habs put up a stinker of an effort, a 4-0 loss to the Sharks. So I'm just going to go to, let's see here. Yeah, well, Ovechkin scored 2 goals against the Canucks. And, well, he set a record for most goals scored by any NHLer when outside of his own building, or at least outside of the home building of his own team. Well, Ovechkin also has staying powers, being relatively long tenured with the Capitals. Yeah, at least don't really have anyone, that long tenured, at least not very many of them. So yeah, it's it was Hoglander put up a goal for the Canucks, and bit 13:55 mark of the second period, and then Tony Mantha, Capitals on the slot. 40 seconds after that, 3-1 Capitals, and the home and the road team at Rogers Arena wouldn't look back, wouldn't have to look back one bit. So sure, I'd say the Senators are kind of fading out. Leafs have been doing well. Flames snapped multi-game losing streak. The Oilers ended up winning on Monday their second straight game. A first for a winning streak that started their first winning streak of the month. Incredible, isn't it? Yeah. Jets have been on a roll. The Habs have been up and down. But again, Habs are rebuilding, so not really in there. I'm going to get into the Canucks. Wow. It's not a very good game. and they're playing in the Pacific in their own time zone. They shouldn't have had jet lag. Let's see what the to go to. All right, I'm gonna go to type up Canucks schedule. Let's go to the NHL here. So just gonna go to. We're just gonna do on the NHL on the Canucks website. Just gonna flip around here. All right, so go. No more games this month. Yeah, well, they've had some incredible success. You know, since having lost 3 in a row, ending on the 13th against the Bruins, they ended up upping things, winning against the Sabres, and over in Buffalo, beating the Kings, Golden Knights at home, the Avs away from home, and the Golden Knights away from home, and the Sharks in overtime. But again, it's been kind of up and down. October wasn't as good. Let's see what the Canucks do in December. Kind of a mixed bag here. We have on Thursday against the Panthers. And the only matchup between those teams take place at Rogers Arena, and then home games against the Habs, Sharks, Habs, road game against the Sharks, and then back home play the Wild. Down the road against the Flames, back home play the Jets. And alright, there. Yeah, see here. So it's going to be kind of a mix for the Canucks. You know that puck face video, whatever it was. Yeah. Most disappointing teams in the NHL season so far. I'd say that would be the Canucks. And there's a video. Yeah. So there's no doubt that these Canucks are no doubt disappointing. I looked at the Canucks early in the season. You know, they seem to be doing quite well. Well, last season they'd been, under Coach Boudreau, after Travis Green and longtime GM Jim Benning had been given the boot. But somehow the Canucks, were going back to their old ways too often against the Capitals. Couldn't find another gear, and well, defense is a mess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to... Oh, I'm going to move back a little bit here. So... let's see how the Canucks did. NHL road goals mark. So yeah, so I'm going to go shoot up some key statistics. So Canucks ended up winning a slim majority of their face-offs. Yeah. So let's see how the Canucks did. Yeah, well, there are lots of losses on the Capital side, so I do apologize for lighting. Available on the NHL website and Google Canucks. So let's see how some of these Canucks did. It's no surprise that absolutely not one Canuck ended up with a plus minus of greater than 0. But among those players who ended up with plus minuses of, well, I'm going to do at least of no better than -3. We have Elias Peterson, nicknamed Petty, -5. Ilya Mikheyev, -3. And they work heavy hitters. Andrei Kuzmenko, -3. Um, Kyle Burrows, defenseman, -3. For some, -2s. I'm not getting into all of them. Yeah. Well, Kyle Burrows did throw 4 hits, but man, when you're on the ice for 3 goals, 3 more goals than your team managed to score, it's not good. Then again, it could have been a reflection of how bad his line mates were. Yeah. In terms of throwing hits, Verslar threw 5. Pretty good. Put a plus minus of 0, but he generated next to no offense. Well, Hoglander scored 1 goal. JT Miller assisting. Again, these Canucks they've got to start, they got to get, they got to get ready for the next game. Whether the Canucks losing ways will continue, we shall see. Because for much of the month, from the 15th of November to last weekend, they've been on a roll. It was 1, 2, well, mostly 2 wins, 1 regulation loss, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. So 5 wins over their last 6 games. The only loss having come in regulation. So 10 points out of a possible 12. Couldn't fault the Canucks for that. So yeah, I'm gonna look at the December. So Thursday and Saturday, a mixed bag. Panthers are Panthers, Coyotes, and Habs. So Thursday, Saturday, and next week Monday, before they go on the road to the San Jose Sharks, and then back at home to play the Minnesota Wild, before going back on the road to play the Flames. But again, the start time is going to be normal, something the Canucks are used to. Well, at least the game gets underway after 7 p.m. Pacific, but before 8 p.m. Pacific. So it's kind of like I'm used to those. So yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same thing until, I don't know, until 23rd December, when it's puck drop is going to be just after 23rd of, it'll be at the Oilers at Rogers Place. Puck drop scheduled to be after pre-game ceremonies are taken into account. 6 Pacific time, 9 Eastern. Oh, yeah, 9 Eastern to be Mountain Time Zone. So, the Canucks don't really go more than 1 time zone ahead of them until 29th of December against the Jets, which will be 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, and then to end off 2022 against the Flames at the Scotiabank Saddledome. So, I'm not going to get into January too much because Canucks have to take care of December before they do January. Because, Canucks can take care of December and stay in the Western Conference playoff race, that'll be good. My hope is that ideally sooner rather than later, hopefully this season, a Canadian team other than the Habs will win a Stanley Cup. After all, it's not like my hometown Leafs have won a playoff series since following the 2003-04 season. And so I'm kind of pro-Canada other than Habs. Habs, I respect, post-1967 Stanley Cups. But it's just that time to do it. But again, how many Canadian teams are actually going to qualify for Stanley Cup playoffs? Just going to recap that as things stand, the Leafs are second in the Atlantic, 6 up on the Lightning for that spot, 7 up on the Wings for a top 3 divisional spot, and in terms of playoff spot, 9 up on the Panthers. So, the Leafs aren't out of the woods just yet in terms of playoff spot. Well, they have clinched, but once you get 10 or more up in terms of playoff spot, that's a good thing. But the Leafs have played more games than any divisional opponent, and have played as many games as the Capitals and Islanders. So that also makes the Leafs vulnerable because they have fewer games to play that are left, and games that other teams have games that handle them. So that's going to be rather important. It's going to be a big test on Saturday against the Lightning at Amalie Arena. It's going to be before that a home game against the Sharks. And yeah, the Leafs cannot afford to have a multi-game losing streak like the Canucks had earlier this season, or the Flames did. Both of them were 7 games, and with the Flames and Canucks each having earned 2 points during their respective long losing streaks. So just to recap, on Wednesday, definitely going to be lots of hockey. No shortage of Canadian teams in action. So we Wednesday to be with their 4 games. So we have the Leafs hosting the Sharks on Sportsnet, Sportsnet East, Ontario, West, and Pacific channels. Rangers hosting Senators. Senators hosting the Rangers on Sportsnet 1, and the Oilers at the United Center against the Chicago Blackhawks on Sportsnet 360. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to just recap what they are here. Do apologize if the lighting is not the best. It's kind of dark on this Wednesday Eastern time. So, alright, so I do apologize. Oops. So again, just recap. So yeah, so just to recap start times of the Leafs and Sens home games. Well, sometime I believe between 7:05 and 7:15 p.m. after taking into account pre-game ceremonies such as the singing of the national anthems. Then we have the Oilers and Blackhawks. Well, starting sometime between 9:35 and 9:45 Eastern time, which I find remarkable because it's a Blackhawks home game, which is that means it's 8:30 local. It's kind of late. It's like, I don't know why it's so late for Chicago, but it's okay with me. That means there's less likelihood of overlap because Sharks and Leafs, Rangers and Senators, it's going to be kind of busy schedule. So yes, it's going to be some interesting times. Sens have won 2 games in a row, but they're not. They've been at one point 10 or more out this season. I don't know what the Canucks are going to do, but again, at this point, for the Canucks and Senators, and I would say the most 2 disappointing teams from Canada. The Senators look like they turned a corner, at least to some degree, playing competitive hockey, but they've dropped out. They've dropped down so much that they could be 10 points out and stay 10 or more points out of a playoff spot for the rest of the season. It's not looking good. Things are looking a bit better for the Canucks, but still 6th in the Pacific. I predicted a top 5 finish, so yeah, that's close. But still, top 5 doesn't guarantee a playoff spot. Just ask the Canucks last season or the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights finished 4th in the Pacific, the Canucks 5th. Neither qualified. Dallas Stars finished in the Central Division 4th. Preds 5th. Stars and Preds qualified for playoff spots. So yeah, 3 Pacific Division teams qualified last season for playoff spots, 5 for the Central. This season, it's who knows what's gonna happen. Anyway, I'm gonna get on with the day, see how the rest of it goes, and go Leafs go.